1, 2, 3.
I can't see me loving nobody but you for all my life. When you're with me.
We created this play because we know how powerful self-expectations are to both our learning and to our lives, and we want to share this information with you. Recent brain research has provided a window into our learning process and the importance of self-concept. When we understand how we learn, then we have the ability to better control our own learning, and we can help others do the same. Let me just highlight why we felt this topic was so important. A researcher by the name of Dr. John Hattie looked at the findings of over 52,000 studies about learning, and he found that the number one factor influencing learning was whether an individual believed in his or her ability or not. This diagram outlines the plot of our play. It is a map of the way the brain learns, developed by Dr. David Sousa. We now welcome you to Sam's brain as he learns about how to best learn, or not, and the influence of expectations on his plight.
Can't believe it's 9:30 already. Physics test is tomorrow. Maybe my teacher is joking. I'll be up cramming for this all night. What do I know about physics? Let's see. Oh. Oh.
Sam, no time for snoozing. Yeah, dude, it's time for your workout.
Workout? I don't have time to work out. I have to study for this test.
No, it's time for your brain workout. We're kind of flabby, you know? Yeah, you should have been exercising us all semester, but I think you've been a little lazy.
Who are you guys, and how did you get in here?
Sam, we're your brain.
What's up, Sam?
You have to start getting us, your brain, in shape. The more you use us, the smarter you'll be.
I don't know, guys. Nobody will call me smart. I'm just not as bright as some of the kids in my class.
Hey, none of that chat, dude. Everyone can learn to learn. Okay, what do you remember about physics in the first half of the semester?
Yeah, I've read all this before, but I can't recognize it. I wonder why I don't remember it.
I think we better bring in some help.
Hey, long-term, what up?
Sorry, who is this?
Dude, this is long-term storage. The part of your brain where all the information that you learned is stored for future use.
I'm your personal bank vault for learning.
Oh, cool, okay. Long-term storage. What do you have for me?
Let's see. Oh, that's calculus. No, that's English.
Wow.
Sorry, Sam. This is all that made it into long-term storage. When you sat in class and looked attentive, it would have been helpful if you really were. But do you remember? You're most often daydreaming about your girlfriend Sally, or the wrestling team, or the Red Sox, almost anything but physics, in fact. And when you do your reading at night, you never outlined it, or really tried hard to understand it. Teaching your brain to learn this stuff was not happening. And I'm picky about what I let in here. So I'm afraid this is all you have to work with. I'll head them over to working memory, and you can try learning these facts, all these facts from scratch. At least you have 2 bits of information to work from.
Working memory? Start from scratch? No way, man. The test is tomorrow. Can I just throw you all these blocks and you can cram it all in?
Sam. Looks like we're gonna have to give you a visual picture of how your brain processes information.
We're gonna give you a few clues as to how it all works, dude.
Everyone is capable of learning. We all have large and untapped potential for learning, unless something gets in the way.
And once we know what gets in the way of learning, we can start to fix it.
Okay, guys, but remember, I'm on a schedule.
To begin the story of how our brain processes information, it is my pleasure to introduce you to our environment. Actually, they would like to introduce themselves.
Hold on. First off, do you have any idea how much information comes in through me, your senses, every day? The brain actually takes in more information in a single day than the largest computer does in a year.
Wow.
All this information is coming into our brain in huge volumes, and we need some way to process it.
That's where I come in. I place what gets in and what gets shut out. A couple of weeks ago, you were at your friend's house, and there was noisy construction going on right outside. But you were there for a while and suddenly realized you didn't hear it anymore. Well, that was me. I decided you had more important things to do with your friend than listen to that annoying sound, so I blocked it out. I am the gatekeeper who decides what goes into your memory and what doesn't get considered.
The sensory register weeds out what is allowed into our short-term memory.
Short-term memory has two parts, the immediate memory and the working memory.
Let's meet immediate memory.
Hi, I have immediate memory. I have to be quick because I can't remember for more than about 30 seconds, which makes me kind of a nervous wreck, but I'm great when you need to remember things for a short period of time. Like when you ordered a pizza last week, you looked up that phone number and you had to remember those 7 digits for about 5 seconds when you made that call. And after you ordered the pizza, you totally forgot the number and only focused on how hungry you were feeling. Well, that was me that helped you remember that number for as long as you needed it and then forgot it for you. Any questions? What was I saying? You remember? I wish I wrote it down.
Immediate memory holds information for short periods of time. What's your job, working memory?
I can work with information a bit longer. I can hold up to about 7 pieces of information at a time. I get chunks of information and I'm able to move them around and try to make sense of it all, combining new information with what I already know. Like yesterday, when your mom asked you to remember all the following things. Go to the store, pick up ketchup and pickles, get gas, get some Ben & Jerry's ice cream, pick up some liver for dinner, stop at the bank. I am the go-between for new information and information that's already in long-term storage.
Thankfully, working memory's attention span is a bit longer than its friend immediate memory.
We learn best if the amount of new information on our table is limited in number, and we work with it for a limited amount of time.
When you are studying, take a short break every 20 minutes or so. It helps you remember what you have learned.
We can only process so much at a time before we become overloaded.
Wow, there are too many chunks of information for me to handle. I'm going to have to throw a few away. I think long-term storage has some information that will help me make that decision.
Ugh, hate to taste liver.
You ate that at the Joneses, and it was so gross, you almost, well, you remember. This information brings me to the conclusion that I should ditch the liver request. I met my girlfriend when she stole my pickle in 3rd grade. Well, this reminds me, I sure don't want to forget the pickle request. You'll never forget that day in 3rd grade. She was so beautiful.
If there is some emotion attached to a piece of information, it will have a far greater chance of making it to long-term memory. Shown both in the case of the liver issue, working memory will never forget sitting down at the table and trying to swallow that awful tasting stuff.
As well as the emotion of falling in love over a pickle.
You remember looking up and...
Yes,
seeing her gorgeous brown eyes.
Okay, I get it. But what about my tests? How am I going to remember all this information?
Here's a hint about learning.
Every time you go back into long-term storage and use that information again, like when you learn one math concept and then apply it in a challenging problem and then apply it in another problem, it makes it even more secure and vault.
Hey, long-term storage. Do you have an example of this?
Well, now that you mention it, see how the block for multiplication from 3rd grade was used in 6th grade in the introduction to algebra, then again in 9th grade during geometry, and 12th grade during calculus. So we build our brains by using them, both linking new learning to existing information, and yes, through practice and repetition, the more the better. When you learn a new concept, there are times I'll make you have to work with it on working memory's table about 40 times before I'll take it in.
40 times? That's ridiculous. You can be so stubborn sometimes.
I am pretty stubborn that way, so rehearsal and practice is key. Last point, you have to know that lectures just don't do it for me as a steady diet. Did you know that after 24 hours, I'll have retained no more than 20% of what I heard in that lecture? They've even done research to prove this. Lectures are fine sometimes when you have to master some basic information, but lecture-only classes are just not a good way of learning information, plain and simple.
Let me get this straight. So the more we learn, the better we become at learning?
Your brain is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets.
How smart you are isn't something that's fixed, but something that a person can grow by using his brain.
But there are a few things that can get in the way. What's up with self-concept?
You'd be surprised how much I rule the roost around here. Do you know that I have the power to shut down the sensory register and not let information in at all? On a good day, when you're feeling confident about yourself, I love to keep the blinds open. These are the days when you believe you can learn just about anything. Tests don't faze you when you're in this place either because you trust to know your stuff. However, I do have my dark days. These happen to you especially when you're in science class, when you remember that day in 4th grade when your science teacher called on you for an answer and you didn't know it and the whole class laughed at you. The next day after you took the test, the kid sitting next to you saw your grade and told everybody on the playground you were stupid. You knew the teacher thought you were totally hopeless too. It got worse. You went home and got grounded because of that test grade. And ever since then, whenever you walk into a science room, I shut down your Venetian blind. It's really self-defeating too. I know there's information being provided you could probably learn if you would just let it in, but it's too risky for you to do that.
All that negative stuff from so long ago is like a bad dream I can't get rid of. That must be what happens when I sit down to take a science test. I just close down the blind, and anything that did make it to long-term storage, I can't get out of it.
So this is a really important point. People will participate in learning activities that have been successful for them in the past and avoid those that have produced failure.
I know that science class when I gave the wrong answer was so long ago, but the memory just keeps nagging me. I am working on it. My new physics teacher is giving me new ways to learn and new opportunities. I'm opening that blind a bit.
If you believe in yourself and others believe in you, I know you can get over that nasty habit of closing the blind.
So self-concept, do I have this right? If people believe in themselves as learners and others believe in them, you let the Venetian blind stay open so that they can let new information in and learn?
But if they feel like they can't learn for some reason, like at some point they were trying to learn and they were punished in some way for not getting it, or made to feel dumb just because they needed more time to learn a little differently.
In that case, you shut the Venetian blind down and don't let information in?
You are powerful.
You have that right. There's one more thing you need to consider about emotions in general. Not much is going to get into this memory if there's lots of strong emotions floating around or you're just too stressed. They may not be as powerful as self-concept, but they will not let learning happen. A little stress is okay, maybe even good, but too much stress and I just shut down. You can just forget learning. So, I guess, part of being successful in school is getting help when you're in a bad place or just too stressed.
But I am stressed. I'm in big trouble. I see now that if I had worked with these blocks of information a little bit at a time every day or every few days, I wouldn't be in this mess.
You're right, Sam. It would be a whole different story. That box of information would probably be mostly with me. You could have chunked that information, relating new information to old information, making an even stronger memory, like you did in math. Hey, one of these blocks here. Let's get over to working memory. Is E equals MC squared. Got anything you can relate to that for tomorrow?
Let's see. There was a lab where we threw two objects off a roof. One was really light and the other was really heavy. Guess which one landed first?
Which one?
Surprisingly, they both landed at the same time. I think it had something to do with that E equals MC squared.
Why don't you hand that one on over to me and I'll start making these connections. Any others that might go together?
Here was the lab we did later that week. And another few. Something with microscopes.
Okay, Sam, enough. Let me be perfectly clear. I can hold up to about 7 chunks of information at a time. And by my working memory union contract, I will only work with these chunks for about 10 to 20 minutes before I take a short break.
Wow.
I don't care if you have a whole book full of things to learn before tomorrow. I'll do the best I can, but there's no way I'm going to be able to make sense of all this, connect all this material, just so you can pass your test tomorrow. And furthermore, I need sleep. The more tired I get, the less efficient I am in making sense of all this. By the way, I need some good food and water too if I'm going to get you ready at all. No way I want that.
All right.
Thank you.
Some water. Go.
see me loving nobody but you for all my life. When you're with me, baby, the skies will be blue.
Stop! Stop! Isn't it bad enough we already have to learn all of this information you should have learned before, and now you also want to distract us with your noise and texting Sally and checking Facebook every 10 seconds?
No, you have it all wrong. See, I'm one of those people who can study better with music, and with this other stuff going on too. Didn't you know that our generation can multitask? Unlike these old folks who grew up with technology.
I hate to break it to you, Sam, but that's just not true. There have been many studies to show that with all of these distractions, none of us in here can learn well. And considering that your test is tomorrow, I don't think this would be a great time to debate this.
Okay. Thanks for your help tonight, guys, but I really don't think I can keep studying. I'm too tired.
Get some rest, Sam.
Keep us working out, dude.
Alright. I must have fell asleep studying. Wow, what a crazy dream. Some dream? Now at least I know how to keep my brain in shape for the next semester and for life.
We invite you to think of a time when you had your Venetian blind wide open. What did it feel like? And think of a time when you closed that blind and did not believe in your abilities. When does this happen for you? How can you change that storyline the same way Sam was going to? The great news is that we are all capable of learning at high levels, and you control whether you are open or closed for learning with the help of those around you. Believe in yourself, believe in others, and remember that effort is what really matters. In the words of Henry Ford, whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right.